Welcome back, fishies. I I kind of messed up. I had the Teach It Tuesday and didn't realize that I did. So, I'm going to have to give you a walkthrough. And of course, we'll also have a talk about it Tuesday. Flip this around here. This is a freestanding closet that I made. Now, this piece, the rod itself, it came out of another closet. It's adjustable. I can make it, about I think it's about a foot wide. I mean, it basically covered this wall here, just about. But what I did is I took a few 2x4s. Cut some angular pieces to help attach it and for the feet. And, I mean, yeah, it moves, but it's not falling over. Hello, Miss Cricket. Why are you in here? Huh? What are you doing? Where are you supposed to be? Hey. Sit. Good girl. Yeah, everybody likes Miss Cricket. Because her so sweet. Ow, them claws hurt, baby. Go on, that a girl. Bye-bye. All right. You gotta love that girl. But as you can see, do it to both sides. Identical. And then hang the clothes once it's all screwed together. Now, here's another little nifty idea. A lot of you may recognize these as skirt or jean holders for your closet. But, as you can see, they work really great to hang hats. Now, these hats here belong to my stepdad, with the exception of this one. This one was given to me by somebody after doing a wood job, splitting wood and stacking it for him. But these were my stepdad's hats. And same with that one. That one is Vampire Miner's hat, which it started out as a regular, just costume cowboy hat. And I took a rope off of a scarecrow hat, because this was supposed to have been the scarecrow hat. And to turn it up like the Vampire Miner, I just stuck a penny nail through it. And of course, I cut pieces out, make it look tattered and pretty creepy, but and this is Gumdrop. Y'all may see him in a later video. But the reason I have my stepdad's hats is, and the other part of today's video is we're going to talk about grief. And it's not an easy subject. My stepdad, ooh, we're a little off here. There we go. But my stepdad recently passed, and he was 83. He was the local Chickasha Santa. Of course, anybody that's been following for a while, they know about the Mr. and Mrs. Claus of Chickasha page. My mom played Mrs. Claus, my stepdad, Mr. Claus, and myself, Elf Rudy Claus. And he was Santa here for over 41 years. And he was really looking forward to doing it one more year, but he had heart issues. And one artery that they had cleared out once before was 100% blocked again, and his main artery was 75% blocked. And doctor said that, you're in no condition to be doing stuff like that. And sorry, it it broke his heart because he loved doing it for the kids, and I've tried to, get the video of him talking about it up onto YouTube. Of course, you can go to the Mr. and Mrs. Claus of Chickasha page and find the video there where I originally uploaded it. And it's the story from the man himself. But it goes like this. The original Santa, his wife, she called down to the fire station where he worked and, told him, look, you know, he's sick, he's not going to be able to make the parade tonight. What are we going to do? And I think it was, he talked to the fire chief, and the fire chief, asked him, well, why don't you do it? Have him bring the suit down, you do it. He never thought about doing that in a million years. And it's December 1980. And thought it never crossed his mind, but he's like, sure, why not? I ain't got nothing better to do. So he calls her back, has her bring her husband's Santa suit down. The beard, hair, everything. And he told me that standing in the bucket of the ladder truck, waiting for the parade to start, was the most terrifying thing in the world. He was nervous as all get out. But the parade started. And of course, he was a short man. His pants length was 29. That's pretty short. I'm 30, mine's 32. And he, after him and my mom got married, he started getting a little bit bigger belly because, they went out eating out all the time. And eventually he grew his beard, kind of like this, and, had the curled mustache, and everybody says that, they look like the storybook Mr. and Mrs. Claus. But that fateful night, back in December of 1980, he said that start of the parade, just nervous as all get out about doing it. And when he started seeing the smiles on those kids' faces and them screaming, Santa, Santa, and waving back to him, it sparked something. And, you know, by the end of the parade, he was hooked. And same for my mom. First time she joined him as Mrs. Claus in the parade, it was something else. And of course, a few years after that, I would join him, and I was hooked. It was funny because we had to go to like the tree, and it was, I think, the first year that I did the parade as Elf Rudy, and you know it was it was magical, you know, and we're standing there, Santa's off lighting the tree, and this little kid comes up and kind of tugs on my shirt, and I look down and he says, "Are you a real elf?" And instantly, I just squat down to his level and, well, yeah, I'm Elf Rudy Claus. Have you been a good boy? Do you want a picture with Santa? And he thought about it for a second. He says, I want a picture with you. Got me, you know? Wasn't expecting it. So we got a picture with him. And then he wanted a picture with Mrs. Claus. But he didn't get one with Santa, because he'd already got a picture with Santa the year before. But I tell that story because grief is hard, you know. Even even when you know a death is coming, there's nothing you can do about it. You can prepare yourself, say you've made peace with it, but to a degree, nah. And I mean, everybody grieves differently. Uh, my mom, for example, she stays busy. That's how she deals with it. I guess that's where I get it from because I try and stay busy myself. And it's hard. Especially considering 11 years ago, October 16th was when my dad passed, and of course, for me, there was a lot of suspicion about the way it happened, but a DNR that magically appeared after I had talked him out of signing one, years earlier, and the fact that he spent 6 months or six, sorry, not months, 6 weeks in the hospital before this DNR appeared, and my stepdad passing, 11 years and, about a month, later, close to it, it brought all that back. And, you know, it's hard to deal with. I mean, here it's been 2 weeks since his passing. And it's still hard. Mom's doling out various pieces, you know, of his things to me, his son, his daughter, his grandkids, and it's hard. And I know it's hard on her too. And everybody deals with grief differently. And I know I've already said that, and I say it again to try and fight things back. And it's okay to grieve, you know. It's okay to just break down and bawl, you know. And it was said at a family friend's funeral, him and my stepbrother went to school together. Of course, I had known him since, I was yay tall because his dad and my dad were best friends. You know, they were all the time over at the house, buying fishing equipment. And he passed the exact same day, about 8 hours after my stepdad. And at his funeral service, man stood up and he said these words, and it makes sense. He said that we're not sad for those that have passed. We're sad for us because we have to go on without them. And that's true. And it's hard. It is. And I've mentioned in a previous talk about it Tuesday that, about my depression and my anxiety issues. And of course, after the week after I recorded that video is when my stepfather passed. And I think, you know, the universe was telling me that it was coming, and that's why I had that episode. And I know y'all are probably going to be blowing up the comment section about the shadowy figure that keeps kind of materializing in front of behind me in front of the door there. Yeah, I see it too. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it's my stepdad. Thinking that he's going to sneak up and scare me. But no such luck, Cabo. I'm on to you. He got me into my scaring people phase. Of course, I'll never forget the time that we were down at the fire station and there was a curtain, and the trick or treaters went around this path, and we were behind the curtain. And we were down on the floor, and you could see their feet because there's a gap like that underneath this curtain. And he laughed, told me, he said, when they get to this point, when you hear, I forget who it was that was doing the initial scare, but he said, once you hear him, reach out and grab their ankle. And I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And there's this little girl that, she stepped past me to where he was. He just reached out, he grabbed her ankle. She broke loose and kicked him right between the eyes. I mean, not real hard, but hard enough that it knocked him off balance and knocked his glasses off. He thought he broke them. And I mean, we laughed so hard about it because, it was hilarious. You know, I'd asked him, well, what if they kick us? Well, make sure you move out of the way. He said, if you think they're going to kick, move. He didn't move fast enough. And that's another way you can deal with grief. You know, tell the stories that make you laugh, you know, because they're never really gone as long as you keep them alive here and here. Because nobody can take that away. It's your memories of them. Yeah, in old age it may fade, you know, but, you know, I regret not recording on video a lot of the stories that he would tell because, he'd always be, you know, did I tell you about the time? No! Even if I'd heard it a million times, I always wanted to hear it again. And he had some doozies. Story of him and his brother Bo, in the cemetery scaring kids as they came up to the house to trick or treat because their house was right next to the cemetery, and the cemetery stretched out behind it. And they use that to their advantage on Halloween. It's pretty funny stories. I wish I'd have recorded, the stories like that. Some of them, I don't know that I'd call them family friendly. Because, he was a firefighter, so, a lot of his firefighter stories, I'd have had to put a PG warning on them. Because, yeah, they were pretty interesting. But it's okay to grieve, you know, just don't get lost in it. That's the trick. Don't get lost in your grief. And that could very easily happen. You know, you have to rely on those closest to you that, check on you on a regular basis, make sure you're okay, and you can pull through. I mean, the pain's never going to go away completely, and that's okay. You know, it's how you know how much you love that person. I mean, to this day, my dogs, you know, they're my kids, like Cricket. I call her my daughter. My mom calls her granddaughter, her grandbaby. And she acts like a kid. She's got the personality. She's 4 years old. So do the math. 7 years. She thinks she's an adult, but she's got a lot of sassy attitude. That's for sure. But don't let people tell you how long you can grieve or how to grieve, because it's not up to them. It's up to you. You know, you have to do things the way you have to do them to make yourself better. And that's just all there is to it. Of course, you know, I wish I would have thought when I was building the freestanding closet to get it on camera. Of course, you know, it was one of those spur of the moment situations that kind of space cadetted, and I apologize. But, you know, at the same time, you know, you get to look at it, see what I did. You know, it's all 2x4s, you know, and a metal rod. And I mean, you don't even have to use a metal rod. You could put another 2x4 up there, you know, run it this way, have it up like this instead of flat, which, you know, works the same way. I mean, you could even use a wooden dowel rod, drill a hole, you know, drill a hole through the 2x4, run the dowel rod through it, you know. I mean, it'd have to be, you know, thick dowel rod, but I mean, you can make anything that you put your mind to, you know. I saw one at the parents' old house that, you know, it's a little bit better built than that, you know, a lot sturdier, but it's a lot bigger. And it'd be a lot harder to get it apart. I know I tried, and it'd take two people. You know, I was able to build this within about an hour or two. You know, it took me a little bit to figure out, you know, how I wanted to do it. But, you know, make the braces, put the rod on, and get it where I want it, and start hanging clothes. And you see it works, right? You know, and making stuff is, I guess, kind of my way to deal with grief. You know, one of the ways I deal with it. And I mean, it's hard. It really is. But, you know, it is what it is, right? You know, you'll get through it. You know, one way or another, you'll get through it. And you know how? Magic. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Got a few other things that I got to get done. So, as always, be sure to like, like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell notification. Much love. Rock on. Have a blessed week, everybody. Until the next video.